Hello, my name is Mashael. I'm conducting this project as part of the visualization course at TCU at PNU. I've always wondered if there is a relationship between freedoms and happiness, and I found a sociologist whose name is Ruth Verhoeven who conducted a study in the early 1990s in 46 nations about the correlation between freedoms and happiness, and he found that freedom doesn't always breed happiness. And I wanted, with the power of data and power of computation, to either prove this or deny this. I used data from United Nations World Happiness Report, uh, specifically for 2015 and 2016, and also the Human Freedom Index dataset, and I tried to combine them in the project that I worked on. The project is divided to two sections: the EDA, exploratory data analysis, and data visualization. The EDA is done for both datasets, Human Freedom dataset and World Happiness dataset, and both consist of data exploratory and pre-processing and target feature extraction. The second part is the data visualization, which is a scatter plot, a bubble plot, a radar plot, a heat map, each trying to answer a specific question. As I said at the beginning, the first part consists of the pre-processing and the EDA of each dataset, including checking the distribution of the data. As we can see here in the Human Freedom dataset, that the distribution of most of the numerical datasets are fairly divided. However, the personal freedom score is skewed to the left. Also, I have extracted and found the null values and filled them and extracted the feature, the target feature. And as you can see here, I have 600 mid-level of freedom countries, around 500 high-level of freedom countries, and 100 low-level of freedom countries. These are extracted in this cell just to divide the countries based on their freedoms to mid-level, high-level, and low-level. Then I moved to the second dataset, which is World Happiness dataset. And as you can see, this is 2015 dataset, and this is 2016 dataset. I combined them together, and I performed the pre-processing, including checking the distribution, and it appears that the distribution of the dataset is fairly divided. I did the pre-processing, including filling the NAs and extracting the target feature, mid-level countries, low-level countries, and high-level countries in terms of happiness. Then I moved to the second part of the project, which is the visualization. I tried to answer some questions with visualizations, and the first question was how generosity affects World Happiness Score. And in other words, does a generosity of a specific country imply happiness? And what I found is that there is actually a linear relationship between happiness score and generosity. However, the relationship between the two factors is not highly correlated. That being said, not every generous country is a happy country, and not every high level of happiness country is a generous country. That also means that more generosity in a specific country doesn't always mean that the country is happiness, or the people of that country is happy people. Then I move to the second visualization, or the question that I'm trying to answer, which is, does health threaten happiness? Do you, with good health or with better health, become happier? Or do you, with less health, become less happier? Or does the two factors doesn't affect each other? And what I found from the graph that there is actually a good positive relationship between health and happiness score. And I only chose 2015 and 2016 years. However, I was planning to add more years if I had the data. And due to the lack of data, I only had the opportunity to present the 2 years. And as we can see from the graph, that most of the countries have a high correlation and a positive correlation between happiness and health. And from the right side of the graph, we can only choose the countries of our interest. If I chose, for example, North America and Australia and New Zealand and Southeastern Asia, I would find and study in detail the countries that are of my interest. In 2015, as we can see that some countries like Malaysia have a mid-level of happiness and a high level of health in 2015. In 2016, Malaysia actually have, if we could compare it, Malaysia have, as you can see, this is Malaysia before, and here Malaysia became in 2016, meaning that Malaysia overall had a lower health but a higher happiness. That could be different for some countries like Indonesia, Myanmar, Cambodia, and other countries. And as you can see, that the coloring of these countries are actually based on the regions that is labeled for. The red, for example, is for Middle East, North Africa, and the brown is for the Southeastern Asia, and so on. Moving to the third question that I'm trying to ask, which is how different scores of freedom affect world happiness. And I did here an innovative way or approach to answer this question. So as I explained in the pre-processing part, that I have by myself extracted a target feature for the two data sets, and I have divided the countries to mid-level of happiness, low level of happiness, and high level of happiness. And also I have divided the countries to mid-level of freedom, high level of freedom, and low level of freedom. And in this part, I was trying to find how different levels of happiness for countries actually are comparing to the different freedoms in the freedom dataset. So as we can see that, and that's surprising, that the distribution of the countries, mid and low and high level countries, are fair between the freedoms. However, what is really surprising is that the mid-level of happiness countries actually have more freedom, personal freedom, economic freedom, and human freedom, comparing to the high level of happiness countries, which is in green. So the question is, if I want to only present the high level of happiness, this is the high level of happiness, and this is the mid-level of happiness. So does this mean that with less privilege, less freedoms, we are more likely to be happy countries? And last but not least, I was trying to find the correlation between the factors that affect the human freedoms index and the factors that affect world happiness index. And as you can see, that most of the human factor, the human freedom score, and economic freedom score, and personal freedom score are actually correlated with the happiness rank of each country. Last but not least, this whole project raises an important question, which is suggested to be further explored, which is, does this say that with less freedom, we could gain more happiness. Thank you for listening.